Press O to tell your kids a story.
I don't have kids!
I'm going to hell. I didn't mean to do that. Oh no, I'm going to hell.
Oh, yo, it's Hogwarts!
You okay?
Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. And
Absolutely.
Oh no, it's Tuesday. I was gonna say weekend, but I
yeah.
lose track of time.
I mean, yesterday was Memorial Day weekend, so.
True. That's probably why.
Yeah, that's what you were probably thinking about.
But yeah, weekend with all that. Oh wow. I like how that works.
Hey, Chroma, happy Wednesday. How's it going, Wolf? What's
Wolf?
up?
Happy Wednesday.
Wait.
Oh, because
Time
International Dateline. I think it actually would be either Monday or Wednesday. No, Wednesday, because I remember when we were in Korea, we watched Monday Night Football on a Tuesday afternoon, and it was the weirdest thing on the planet.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's how it works. But anyways, how you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day.
Yep.
You kid.
I just have to pull that with me. But yeah, hope your day's been going great, Wolf. How's it going? Glad you stopped by. I couldn't talk for a second.
It's hard sometimes to formulate words.
You should scooch this way a little.
Oh.
Just
a bit.
There you go.
Yay!
I'm good. I was in your stream yesterday at my time. I forgot to say it. Oh, no worries.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
it's
appreciate
all
you being there. Because, lurking, whether you have time to chat or you don't, we just appreciate the thought. Because that's what counts.
We're just glad to entertain and that people enjoy us and what we produce enough to be able to, hang out, have fun, and, do the whole rounds. That's the most important part, is the fun and...
Absolutely.
Yes.
But hope you both are well. Yeah, doing good.
Yeah.
Been kind of chilling.
Big chilling.
Very much big chilling. It's took a nap
Oh,
earlier.
yeah! I feel like Snorlax is my spirit animal, in a way.
I could see that for you. I could totally see that for you.
Snorlax is so adorable, though.
Just sleep and eat.
Snorlax.
Sleep. Yeah, he really is. I don't know. Who would be my spirit animal? I don't know.
Grimjow?
No.
Oh, no.
That's
not an animal. That's not a...
First of all, don't call me out like that. You haven't even reached that part in the series to understand, so you leave me alone.
That was Full Metal Alchemist. I watched the whole thing. What? Snorlax just laughing. Snorlax is a spirit animal.
Snorlax is your spirit animal. We'll have to figure out which one mine is. Mine would be Charmander.
Char! Charmander's so adorable. What the heck was... but Charmander is super
Charmander is
cute.
adorable.
I remember the episode made me literally burst into tears as a kid. When he's just hiding on that rock and his
He
flames
was waiting
almost
for
out.
his trainer.
And I'm just help him! No!
He wouldn't leave. He was a good Pokemon.
Good boy. And then he just became Charizard and just...
Became a jerk.
Wow.
Charizard was a jerk, but he was a jerk that cares deep down.
The intensive Care Bear.
That's it, the intensive Care Bear.
But yeah.
Oh,
man,
Pokemon was
dude.
awesome.
Indigo League was my childhood. Like,
I think it was a lot of people's childhood.
I used to remember waking up to school and like
just excited.
Wanna be the very best. Like
no. What?
Oh, my bad.
Did you mess
I
up?
probably shouldn't just do one line of the song.
And then end it. You can't do that.
It's too hype. You can't do that.
Certainly my child, definitely. It was very much my childhood. I had like all the stuffed animals.
Oh gosh. Pikachu was my favorite. Well, up until like Snorlax was a thing. It was just out of the starters. And Snorlax, I'm just like, yes.
Just, yes.
I want him.
I want that one. I would say for me, my favorite was Squirtle. It was just cool.
Squirtle
it's a turtle
so nice.
that wore sunglasses.
Oh yeah, the sunglasses.
That was the cutest
And then
thing.
he had those squad up Squirtles.
Yes, he had like a little squad.
Where they all just like pull pranks on each other. They're like, Squirtle.
Oh man, that was such a good show. I miss it.
Oh man, they just don't make anime. Is Pokemon an anime?
Pokemon is an anime.
Okay,
yes.
they just don't make anime like that anymore.
Hi, how's it going, Meme
Hey,
Kicks? What's
what's up?
Hope your day has been going well.
We were just memeing on anime
We were.
and Pokemon and stuff, so perfect timing.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the good old days with Pokemon.
Lots of fun.
But definitely. So I guess we should talk about what we're gonna do today.
Oh yeah.
It's alright, no worries. So today is going to be part 2 of Fictional Subtext. It's our podcast kind of thing going on. And the subject is
Verticality in games.
Yep.
So, yeah, fictional subtext is essentially we look at the subtle for anybody that's new or hopping in. We look at the like underlying subtleties, game designs, elements of things that like blend the things together. But you know, we're obviously hanging out, still chatting, having a good time. And
it's
all
kind of an
that.
open forum thing.
Right, yeah. Like, just bring your ideas, discuss it with us, and
Definitely.
just have a good time. Essentially, like, you know, just chatting.
Vibing? Chatting? Yeah.
I was like, sure, yeah, we'll roll
No,
with that.
drink water is now 1,000. Oh no, Meme Kicks.
Oh gosh. And then just sad.
I forgot we had to adjust
Oh,
the channel
yeah.
points.
Because the spam was real sometimes, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It is all good. We actually did bring our water since we're going to be doing a lot of talking.
Oh yeah. So
Sponsored by Deadpool, I guess.
So this one's for you, Meme Cakes.
Cheers.
Can you put that over there too? Thank
Yes.
you.
Let me just carefully shuffle. See.
Yep. But yeah, so fictional subtext, very much, this is kind of your idea.
Yeah, it came to me like watching YouTube videos, and I was like, huh, that's a decent idea. And, you know, kind of obviously tweaked and formatted it to what we have here.
Yep. And so, like you said, today, you know, our topic is verticality in games. And did you explain what verticality in games was?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, like, you have your literal translation of verticality, and then you have the whole I am very smart, like, fictional subtext where that comes in, is like your literal translation of, like, okay, you jump and you platform, and you do the things, or you
rise
drop
to
down.
the top.
Or the things of like an honor system that you see in something like Red Dead, Fallout's karma system, where like you can be good, bad, rise or fall in reputations across certain groups, populations, or verticality of like, you know, the character, say, goes through a metamorphosis or change completely. Like there's a lot of nuance to it.
So verticality can be several different things. 2 and 1, I better start saving up to pay off my loan.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. There's got to be like a channel point stock market someday where people are just like, okay, I got like 20 Dogecoins, dude. How much, like...
Trading everyone's channel points.
500,000, dude. Wow.
That's a good deal.
Oh my god. Smoking deal.
Yeah. But, so last episode...
Right.
Last episode we talked about, a couple different games. We talked about GTA 5 and how Franklin, you know, metaphorically and socioeconomically rose.
Mm-hmm.
And like the verticality with him, you begin the game with him, and in the game as him, like you make the final call as him.
And yeah, everything comes back to him. Talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, another Rockstar game.
Rockstar just is, when it comes to verticality, Rockstar can pull it off.
Yeah, they nail it.
They do.
There's still a lot of games I need to play, like Bully Scholarship Edition. Mm-hmm. Manhunt, I don't think I'm gonna play, just because that game is like hyper violent and but yeah, no, they usually, for the most part, put out gold.
Mm-hmm. We also discussed Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Bioshock, the trilogy.
Yeah, Bioshock is obviously like you have a city underwater thing in the clouds, but then you also have the whole weaving of that narrative and just like, whoa. Lots of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. We also discussed, I'm trying to remember what else we discussed.
Because, there was Dark Souls, GTA 5,
Red Dead.
Oh, well, we can
Bioshock.
actually go through the slide, I think, over here. If we have it pulled up and ready.
Let me see if I can go back. Let me see if I can go.
We will figure this thing out.
The mouse is just stubborn.
Oh, the mouse. Oh, God. Yeah,
It
that
is
is being stubborn. I just noticed it, like, glitch across the screen. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Oh, did it? Okay, there we go.
Oh, did it, like, trackball?
Yeah, it turned itself off.
Oh, that's a white? What kind of sorcery is...
But yeah, we talked about Bioshock, Red Dead, Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, we haven't finished 2 or 3. Oh, yeah,
Destiny 1 and 2. Yep.
That's the thing.
And Little Nightmares.
Oh, gosh. Little Nightmares is terrifying.
It was, but it used verticality in a good way.
Man, I'll always remember Bungie's jumping puzzles in the raids.
Oh my
Destiny
goodness.
1 and 2. I think I forgot to mention that, but that's just a quick aside. Like, jumping puzzles killed me and my team far more than any boss ever
I think
did.
jumping puzzles kills everyone.
It
There
really
is no escaping.
Especially when you're like a warlock and you just have an ass tier jump where it's just a floofy glide.
It's like a corgi trying to jump.
Really is.
Like from the couch to like something else, and you just see them try and they just drop.
Oh my god, the corgi flop where it goes off of the dock into the water, just bloop.
Your TikTok baking do be kind of looking fresh, not gonna lie.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I haven't uploaded any baking things in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoy cooking.
Too. We need a... But yeah, definitely, I think we have made a couple things.
I've recorded them, I just haven't put them together. I'm lazy sometimes.
I just eat the food. I don't know how to cook that. I'll be perfectly honest.
But yeah, glad you enjoy the videos. Meaning kicks.
We all are food on this blessed day.
We are. We are. But you ready to hop in?
Oh yeah.
Alright, so...
Because episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2.
Chroma Strikes Back. And...
So our first...
There we go.
Subject is going to be Detroit Become Human. So in Detroit Become Human, Marcus rises from servitude to leadership. Kara rises to protect her family. Connor rises to become human. And so with Detroit Become Human, you had 3 protagonists you played as. And Detroit was, Quantic, So it was a choose your own adventure. It was a choose your own adventure game to the highest standard. Like any choose your own adventure game after this has a huge milestone.
This game has
climb.
set the bar. And just real quick aside to mention that, to kind of put it in proper context, this game has over 5,000 pages of character dialogue.
Yep.
That is insane to think about. And there are levels and circumstances wildly different than what... Because I played it off stream. I think you played it on stream.
I played it on stream.
Wildly different treat. Like, playable areas even, you don't even know exist unless you meet the prerequisites to, like, truly a choose-your-own adventure game.
Really
Bar has been set. Like, I don't know.
And so, this, Detroit Become Human, like, it earned its place on the Verticality list.
Yes.
Because... And, before we forget, anyone tuning in, this episode will contain spoilers for some games. We'll say the name of the game first before we go into anything.
That should be a good point. I almost just started diving into the... Because that is a very broad thing, but as for the context surrounding the Verticality we're going to be talking about there.
We may have to go into in-game things that happen. So we have in Detroit Become Human, you have Marcus. You start the game as him, and you start as Mark. Wait, no, you start as Connor.
Oh yeah, because it's a CSI like Miami rooftop skyscraper,
and you have to do the interrogation with the deviant android. And so right then and there, Connor is highly analytical. He is essentially the perfect detective.
Perfect machine.
Yes.
Like, all logic, zero emotion.
But as you're playing, he still has that kind of zero emotion, but as you're playing, you have to try and figure out, why is this deviant holding this girl hostage? Why did he shoot her father? What's going on? And you see that, the android was going to be replaced, and he found that out and didn't want to be apart from, the people he cared about.
Yeah, and the child especially, he had a deep bond with.
They were family. And so, you have this with Connor, and you end up basically betraying his trust if you do it the way I did, where you talk him down, he releases her, and you're like, this is all going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen to you. And then, the police shoot him, and he's just like, you lied to me.
I had a different experience.
You did.
And this is, I basically got one of my characters killed in the first level of the game, so...
In the tutorial.
In the tutorial. So, there was a scene where he's talking about taking, like, a car, and, like, demanding that. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll just go with him, so I hit the sacrifice option. Then I see this dude Leroy Jenkins' way over to the, deviant, literally yeet him off of a rooftop and, like, cower over the girl. I get shot, like, 5 times in the back as this dude is falling. You're like, is this a John Woo flick? Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
and then, like, he's just
you had a rough
dead.
time.
I'm like, well, character 1 down. Like, I guess this is gonna be the game we're rolling with. Oh, man.
That was... And... You tried. But then you go to Marcus, and Marcus is, the android for Carl. Carl is, elderly, in a wheelchair, needs medication. So he's basically kind of like a nurse android, which is interesting with how his story plays out, going from this, And, Carl was very much, he treated him like a son, because he was there for him when his own son was, doing drugs and just using him for money. So he treated, like, Marcus, who was an android, very much like just another human. And so as Marcus, you have to go through the town at first, and you see, like, this disparity between how androids are kind of segregated against and, mistreated. Because, for one, they replaced people and took their jobs. Of course, people are going to be angry. We have now people don't like automation, or they're kind of concerned with how automation goes because those are jobs.
Yeah.
So, of course, in the same way that androids would do that even more. But then you also have, people, just ready to destroy androids and, like, taking their frustrations out on them for no reason. You also have the thing where you have to take the bus. And this pretty much sets the tone of the game. You have to take the bus, you wait, you get on the bus. It has, in the front of the bus is the human entrance. At the back of the bus, where there are no seats, it's just you stand, is where all the androids have to kind of just stand.
And just kind of go into like a sleep mode, and it's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I was gonna mention too with the kind of background is it's very interesting two things. That the game takes place in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Detroit had its automotive revolution in the 40s, 50s, was a huge center for that. But, again, automation, like you were talking about. Factory workers essentially became obsolete, and the town went on a sharp decline.
Are y'all going to play Detroit? And hello. How's it going, Cards? What's up? Hope your day is going well. Mm-hmm. We're not going to play Detroit tonight. Today we're actually discussing Verticality in games.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more of podcasty, open forum kind of feel.
But we have, I think, played Detroit.
Yes, we've both played it.
I may eventually someday do it again because I've played it off stream before.
And it's like you can get so many different options that it has replayability.
Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a possibility that we'll go.
I'm about to stream myself. Awesome! Congrats.
Oh, okay, right on, man.
Hope you have fun with that. And thanks for stopping by. Before you do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so with sorry, and then you have Kara. She's you introduced to her in a store, and you come to find out that she had been broken and gotten repaired.
Oh yeah.
Because she, like Marcus, was she.
I will shout. Oh no, I'm gonna stay. Oh.
Oh, okay. All right.
More the merrier. Then.
Yeah, definitely. No worries.
I got you.
But what was I gonna say?
That Kara was broken before, and
she has no recollection of what happened because she had to have a full system wipe. And she, just like Marcus, was a caretaker android. Mm-hmm. That's the correct words. So she was taking care of Alice and her father. I'm breaking barriers. I don't know how to spell that element. No worries.
Oh yeah, it's all good, man. I'm terrible at spelling.
No worries. So yeah, it's really interesting how each of these characters plays out and how they all overcome some form of verticality. And that's one thing that really makes this game a great game.
Beautiful.
Because it has it has verticality and it has replayability. And that's something we talked about last episode with
the replayability.
Games. If they have the verticality, sometimes they don't have
the replayability
because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because most games you have like a good or a bad playthrough.
This just has all kinds of playthroughs.
There are so many decisions where it's not even just like a 1-2 like bifurcating path. It's a whole, and they have this thing called the flow map where you can see which decisions you made and which decisions are available, but they're like blocked out. Like you've got to essentially replay to unlock those. But at the same time, adding to the replay value. You get points for how many decisions you unlocked. I guess like concept art, soundtrack options, all that bonus content. And you're like, wow, dude, that's cool. The other Verticality thing is like, you know, as these androids rose and took up the jobs, like their blue blood, like Therium or whatever it is, like it's used in this thing called red ice, which is basically drugs. Like,
yeah.
And so people will smash apart these androids in frustration, like they lost their jobs and stuff, and at the same time use that frustration to do the drugs, which hypes up aggression, and it's just a self-repeating cycle. And it's like every element of this game and its verticality is so good.
It is
so perfect. And it's just a mouse doing it.
Yeah, the mouse is being weird, but I got it.
Oh, I got you. But yeah, like, oops. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Well, obviously, you can either do the robot uprising path or,
Oops.
Okay.
Okay,
We're
I was
going into
trying
the...
to...
Okay,
yeah.
I was like, I don't know if, like, we're gonna go more into depth.
Yeah, we're gonna go into depth.
Okay.
Because, take, for instance, you have Marcus, and, you know, after the conflict with Carl's son, Marcus gets, you know, basically thrown away. But he's not dead. He ends up in this, like, dumpster, or not like dumpster, but, basically a dump.
Like...
And it's full of just...
a robot graveyard.
It literally is a robot graveyard. And it really is. It's terrifying.
Like, this scene had me... Like, this was a moment where my gut dropped, and I was like, oh, like, this is a thing.
Got it. I'm gonna make this mouse work. But yeah, so you have...
We got sound on?
We do.
Oh yeah, this was a PlayStation robot, I think, that got... That, like, son happy birthday?
Yeah, it was the Easter egg. When they had kind of hinted at Detroit, like, years before. Kara's model is based on something they used for PlayStation.
Huh.
But you see, like, all these androids that are, like, broken and decommissioned trying to climb out of this pit. And, you know, this is Marcus at his lowest point. Because, you know, he was living a really good life. You know, mansion, just had to take care of Carl. You know, Carl treated him like family.
Yeah, like, he got to play chess, like, serve food, like, talk about philosophy and the arts and the things.
Should I do a meeting or do whichever one you think is best. Whichever you're going to have the most fun with.
Yes, like, because the thing with that is like entertainment and fun. It essentially will flow from like you being the broadcaster, and it goes outwards towards, you know,
your
that
audience.
audience. Like, if you're not having fun, typically audience won't. But if you're having a blast and just really energetic, like hyped up, ready to go, typically people are really gonna be like, yeah, dude, and like just great times just get amplified.
Yeah.
Like, for everyone involved.
But yeah, so you have this pit and you have all these androids, like, they're broken, they're not, it's also raining, so it's muddy and just gross and everything's...
Oh, yes.
And, like, first you have to, like, find parts, you have to rip parts from other androids.
That's the other thing.
And, like, try and fix yourself and, like, put your eye and ear and, like, different parts back. And, like, you have this moment with this clip, you know, you can either choose to just kind of, like, steamroll through it and go out, or you can actually look around and Marcus can interact with the other androids that are still essentially alive and dying. And you have him kind of just taking this moment, and it makes this moment have a lot more impact because he's seeing, you know, people like him that are just being discarded, and he sees it from a lens he may not have seen before until this moment. And, you know, I think one he turns off because they knew they were dying. And just basically out of
while
mercy.
You're talking to them, it turns off.
Yeah.
And I remember another one. You essentially have to like rip their Ethereum pump out, and the whole time's like, please no, like no, don't, no thank you, like don't do this. You don't have to. And like at least one or two of these, you have to pull the plug and kill them yourself, kind of, so that you survive.
So it really is like the lowest point he could get, because and then you have him have to climb out of this pit, and it's not easy. It's not just like, okay, A, B, or X, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's like triangle, L1, like R2.
It's like you were literally climbing from this pit.
Yeah.
And again, it's raining, it's pouring down. He climbs from this pit. There's a random jacket conveniently there. He puts it on and he kind of looks back at the pit. And then he looks forward and just walks forward. And that is very significant of his rise to where he eventually has to take on a leadership role. Because, at the beginning, he was very much like, I don't know what to do without you, Carl. It's whatever you say. And Carl is like, no, it's what you want to do.
Yeah,
it's
like
your
have
choice.
Opinions.
You have opinions. You can form opinions. You have thoughts.
And there's a very important thing with the painting where like he closes his eyes and you can draw like I think an android in pain.
You can draw a lot of things.
Or like
because it gives you options. You can choose, say, like pain, androids, humans, android, and there's a lot of different things, and you can pick a different meaning for each one. And like that's again how this game has so many choices. Everyone can get a different painting, but then insane. You paint it and it shows like how Marcus himself is feeling.
Whereas like always before, like he'd open his eyes and just copy, like that was a first time making original art. And then like at that whole cataclysmic scene before him going into the pit, like he calls Carl dad.
He does.
I remember distinctly.
It's when Carl starts having like a heart attack. Well, it depends on how you play it again, because in my playthrough, you argue with the son, you kind of fight back a little, but you can either choose to go completely deviant then, or you can wait. So if you don't completely just like go ham and beat up, the son, Carl will, like, he's so worked up, he has a heart attack. And then, he kind of loses consciousness, and that's when Marcus says that, I need you, Dad. And he, like, calls him Dad, because, Carl always told him, like, you're like a son to me.
That part got me, yeah.
And that's when, they take him and just dump him in here. So it's very much, because then you have Marcus go, finds Jericho, finds other androids like him who are deviant, and basically leads an android uprising. And you yourself as the player have the option to basically choose how this uprising is portrayed. You can go and just be hated by everyone, or you can have high public opinion. I got high public opinion. And you'll see, like, based on, like, your choices, there's a march. And, you can say different things. And, you're marching through Detroit. And you're saying, we just want equal rights. We want to be treated fairly. We want to have the same opportunities and options that everyone else does. And, like, again, depending on your public opinion, the crowd will react in certain ways. Since my public opinion was high, you could see the crowd. You'd see a few people just like, androids. But then you'd see other people who were just like, yeah.
And like clapping and cheering.
And again, it's very much, your choices drive the story. And it can help or deter your cause with this verticality.
And like besides a hated and goodwill, there's a peaceful or violent.
There is.
Like, and it starts off innocently enough, like vandalizing cars, spray paint graffiti, but it can escalate to where you're literally waging all-out war and have, like, chemical bombs you're using. And it's kind of like, wow, that escalated quickly.
It can really escalate quickly. So, you know, after Marcus, you have, I believe, Kara?
Oh, yeah, Kara.
Yes. So you have Kara. And Kara, you know, again, she's in this abusive household, and she has this attachment with Alice. Alice, you know, being a kid, actually drew what happened to her. Because Kara, you know, just assumed, like, you know, the guy said she got hit by a car or something, and just had to be repaired. Alice shows that the dad, like, beat Kara so much that she had to be taken in for repairs, and they had to, you know, do a full wipe.
Oh, gosh.
And even, like, the store guy was like, what happened to it again? Because it was kind of beat up. And he was like, oh, it got hit by a car. But, you know, dude, no questions asked. It's an android.
Okay, whatever, man. Yeah.
And so Kara has to go, and hers is also very significant. Like, she has a moment like Marcus where she has to rise. It gets to a point where you're playing as Kara, and, you know, Todd is high and drunk, and he starts yelling at Alice. Alice runs upstairs. He starts going after her, and then Kara tries to follow him, and then he tells her, stay down here, don't move. And he goes upstairs. And then, of course, you hear, like, Alice starts screaming, he's screaming, and this is when you have the choice to become deviant. Is you can either stay in this one spot, or you can rise up and go up the stairs. So you have that verticality. And again, you can choose to just stay at the bottom of the stairs. And if you do, Alice dies right then and there.
Yeah, it's a very sad ending.
If you take too long getting up the stairs, Alice can die. But if you know, immediately you're just like, no, this is wrong, I'm going to help her. You become deviant, run upstairs, you know, you fight Todd, and you basically then have that decision to take Alice and run.
Yeah, I remember I immediately, like, went for the gun, but I think, like, you may have gone for the kitchen knife, but tried taking too long trying to, like...
Well, because I played Detroit, like, several times now.
Oh, gosh. Mouse doing its... Damn it.
But, like, the first time I played...
oh, we have the... Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first time I played... I didn't understand the instructions. The wall that came up said stay here.
Oh, what the hell?
Huh?
My connection to chat is...
Oh, mine's still up. So we're good.
Okay, I'll just reconnect.
Yeah, you can just reconnect. But the first time I played it, like, you have this wall come up, and it's like, don't move.
The breakout, yeah.
And I didn't understand what it meant, so I didn't move. I eventually moved, but by the time I got up there, it was too late. So obviously I restarted the game after that and was just like, no.
Oh god, it's just a rage restart.
I was just like, no! So once I played it on stream, that didn't happen. I knew immediately, just nope, and ran upstairs, and, you know, Todd, while you're cleaning, you find that he has a gun, so I took that. So, I fail at QuickTime events.
Oh gosh. Oh, you're doing.
I was doing okay
here.
This time.
But oh yeah, QuickTime events also add a lot of stress to the situation. Oh yeah, he did.
Yep.
And there's a lot more than just a verticality symbolism, like the white dress that's stained with blood, but like I'm sure there's gonna be other episodes where we delve into, like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the symbolism of those things. But then, you have the choice. You can just leave with Alice. And, you two run away. And you basically, as Kara, you disguise yourself as just like a mother and child. And, like, that's how, Kara sees her and Alice. And then you meet people along the way who can either help you or hurt you. But at the end, it plays a big role into whichever option you get. With, like, kind of like the last chance with them to, like, save them. Because their goal is, Canada didn't have androids. So, if androids could get to Canada without being detected, they'd be set. They could just live as humans.
Yeah,
no one would question it.
Scot-free, like nobody would worry about it.
And so there's very much that going north. So that's the verticality too, and again, it's symbolic. Again, with actual history and things that have happened in real life.
Right, like the Underground Railroad went to the northern states or to Canada or other places.
To be free. And so that's, again, why Detroit is such a good game, because it takes, like, so many just, like, nods to actual things that happen in real life, and it puts it in a game where you have to choose the outcome.
Yeah, you control the entire narrative from the top down. Middle, side to side. Every element is on you.
It is.
Like,
it really is.
I've never seen a game like it before.
And then Connor is the last one. I don't think we have a clip for him, but with Connor, you're very much trying to become human. Connor is that become human, because the other two were deviants from the get-go. Like, very quickly, Kara and Marcus, you see, become deviant.
And it's like, technically, yeah, the choice is Kara, but, like, who's gonna just stand idly by as a kid gets, like, murdered?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But as Connor, you don't have that option until the very end. And even then, as you're doing missions with Connor, at the top you start to notice with his programming, where it does, like, system and how it's okay, it starts saying things. And it
like
starts trying to spell something.
Or something?
Yeah. RA9.
RA9, that was it. Yeah.
And that was the program. And so as Connor, you didn't get some of these. And so you didn't get a lot of the things I got, so mine was very different from yours. You go on these missions with Hank, and you can become friends with Hank. If you become friends with Hank, it helps because there's a final mission where there's this whole thing, there's another Connor. Again, I suck at quick time missions, so died frequently as Connor.
Oh gosh.
But I didn't die after a certain point. So they only were able to back up a certain point of the memories. Some of the conversations that you had with Hank were after. And so Hank starts doing the whole, okay, I can't tell which one is which, so I'll, ask you questions. And, first it's like, what's my dog's name? What's this, what's that? But then it goes, what's my son's name? And the other android doesn't know. But Connor does, and, he says it, and he's just like, and Connor goes into the whole, the reason why you hate androids is because the android, your son was hit by a drunk driver. The android that operated on him, failed. It wasn't able to save his life. And then, Hank goes, that's not why I hate androids. He was like, the doctor who was supposed to be helping him was high at the time and couldn't do his job, and so an android had to be put on him. He was like, I don't hate androids. He was like, I hate people who abuse this substance, essentially. And then, he kills the other android. Well, then at this point, you're helping Marcus with the revolution. You go everything's good. In mine at least, everything was good. And, it's very dramatic. But then you have a moment where Angela, I believe that was her name?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think it was Angela. I think it was.
I did not like Angela.
They basically mess with his programming and try and take over. Well, a lot of times you go to this place as Connor, and eventually you realize that this is his mind. Like, this is him when he's shut down, and, like, he's in, like, essentially his mind. And you go there, and it's just chaos. It's, swirling blizzard. And you have, if you wandered around, it's very easy to find what you need to find. Mm-hmm. But you find this, like, rock, and after speaking with the creator of it, some of the androids, he says, I always put a back door
in all my programs. And it repeats when you're in the mind. So, yeah, playing this is like...
You go to that.
Okay, I gotta go to the
thing. And, like,
thing.
at first you couldn't touch it. But once you touch that, you basically completely, become deviant. And you gain control again. Which, just in time, because Connor was about to shoot Marcus.
Finger on the trigger, had the gun. It was just like, ugh. Puts it away.
Yep, and it's like it's a really powerful scene because, Connor this whole time, this analytical, perfect detective android, and he gains, humanity. And it's like Detroit has so much verticality in it, because that alone, it wasn't a battle of so much as going up the stairs, climbing the pit. It was overcoming yourself. It was overcoming your own mind. Said.
And there were a lot of cases where you had the option to shoot or not shoot, but shooting too quick would give a quote unquote bad option. And me playing it, I was like, okay, I've got the gun. If I don't shoot, because I was winning a bunch of quick time events, and I was I was kicking these guys' butts without a gun anyways. I don't want to shoot because I want to play it passive. Sure enough, that ended up getting a good option where these people just ran away, and I was like, oh, okay. And then Hank is like, yay.
Yeah, and it plays into that. And Detroit is just such a good game.
God, I could spend 2 hours alone talking about
you
this.
You could.
Game, but...
there's so much in it that you could talk about. But let's see.
Oh, did it go too far?
It went a little too far, but I caught it.
Okay. Oh, this game.
So, God of War. Kratos.
Sony,
and so,
dude.
Verticality and God of War. And this one, you played it, so you have more, but I have my own theories. And so, one of the theories is that this whole game, you're playing as Kratos, but in God of War, Kratos is the messenger. The story is the rise of Atreus through their journey to Jotunheim.
And an argument can definitely be made for that, and I'm starting to come around to that. The thing is, though, is Kratos has been Santa Monica's and Sony's golden boy for 20 years now. So it's really interesting to see another character come into focus and
because in this Atreus is very much your support. He can do the extra life, does the electric the arrows depending on how you set those.
Runic summons.
He can read. And
he can read.
he's basically the Robin to your Batman.
Yes. Oh man, it's seared into my brain anytime Kratos is just boy, hand me the rope, boy, and it's just great.
It is.
But
so you have that, and if you want to talk a little bit more about it.
Oh yeah, because at the very start of the game, of course, you have multiple difficulties, all the way up from give me a story, which is I've played that mode very briefly just to see how easy it truly was. You don't die. you can, but like
it takes
you
a lot
have
of effort
to actually try to die. All the way up to what I play the game on stream with, Give Me God of War mode. And sweet baby Ray trying to beat the game on that was quite a challenge, to say the least. But like you have that verticality and experience at the very beginning, easy to hard. And when you're on Give Me God of War, you can't change it.
You can't.
Like, you're just stuck with it. And of course, you start out with the very beginning, Kratos' wife, Atreus' mother, like, Lao Fei is dead, and you gotta, like, chop down a tree to, like, burn her. And then you take the ashes to the mountain, and that's the setup. And you're like, okay, you do then, you'll be on your way to some other... Well, that ends up literally being the whole game, but getting to that, it's like, okay, you have that verticality journey into the mountain. Alright, except the problem is, there's so many things along the way, like, the lift is broken, and, like, or before that even, there's this, like, black fog that you can't get to the mountain, so you're like, crap. And you go to Alfheim, and you essentially descend all of these pits to get this light, and then you go to a whole different realm, and like Atreus starts becoming more of a man because like he kills like all these elves, and like you do the thing, and the verticality is essentially like either you are ascending towards this mountain that eventually ends up being in a whole different place in another mountain, and it just gets nuts.
It does.
Or you're descending, like you completely fall off of this like realm sphere thing into Helheim, and then to get out of there you literally like light a boat on fire and it does a thing. It's super awesome. And but the whole time like Kratos is already established, or like the Lake of the Nine and the little serpent coming out of the water retention, verticality, like there's a lot of subtle things, RPG elements leveling up, like Atreus the whole time. He starts from being just this petulant boy, like angry, pissed off, sickly all the time, to literally becoming a god with like multiple magic arrow abilities. Like he kills, I think, Magni in his own right, and like goes on a whole hero's journey of his own.
Yeah, it's like it's at the side, and it's kind of essentially he's growing up throughout your journey. And so, like, I'm a big fan of, like, mythology and stuff. So, like, watching you play, I was just like, wait a minute. This boy is not who is he supposed to be?
What if I say you're not like the others? You're the imposter. What if I say that I'll never surrender?
But, like, because essentially and, like, it hints at it throughout the game. And, eventually once you do reach Jotunheim, you find out that Atreus is Loki.
That was a big plot point where I was just like, because of course, I'm a dum-dum and I hadn't quite figured it out yet, because I'm just like, boy, he's a boy, shoot arrows and
he's just a support.
He's a supporting character. Because this is actually, side note, this is the only God of War I've ever played. Probably gonna have to go back and play 1 through 3 eventually if they... Oh my god, I hope they do a remastered release for like PS4, PS Now, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, like Atreus is Loki, and you find out that like Lao Fei, that's the name that she wanted him to have instead of Atreus, and you're like, oh! But then you also eventually figure out that like Lao Fei had been all the yellow paint you'd seen, which you thought was like tutorial help. Like how Assassin's Creed has a flags guide and the thing. It ended up having a deeper purpose, that she was essentially omniscient, saw the entire journey, plotted out every single
course she would take.
Yep, all the way to the little protection ring of trees. She plotted out the one to destroy that would essentially force y'all onto this journey. And it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it's like, because it's like she, envisioned this. She saw, like, the destruction of her people. And by Thor, Thor in not as good. It's not Marvel Thor. It's not Marvel Thor.
In God of War. You come to find out.
Yeah, and like the whole time, again, you're seeing all this, stuff that ties into the mythology and leads up to Ragnarok. And you get this feeling, why are they targeting Kratos and Atreus? What? They just want to, go do this thing with Ashes. Why are they being attacked?
Mm-hmm.
By, the other gods.
And so viciously, too.
Because you have Balder. Very
on
vicious.
orders from Odin, like, to essentially kill you.
Yes. And he specifically will try to kill Atreus. He'll leave Kratos. Because at a certain point, he even tries to take Atreus.
Oh, yeah, he takes a little one with him. And at first, you're like, oh, he's just being a jerk, to do the thing.
Yeah, but then it's like, no, Kratos was never the target.
And, yeah, that reminds me of the first thing he says when you meet. It's like, I know who you are, but more importantly, I know what you are. And you're, of course, alarms are going off in my head. I'm like, what the hell? We just got here, dude. Like, what?
We just got here. But again, you think he's talking to Kratos. More so, because you're like, oh, Kratos is, God of War.
Yeah, the God of War. Like, you just had the boy.
Oh, and you have these other, Norse gods. And he's like, oh, conflict.
Yeah, like, get off my turf, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you think it is starting out. But
no, he was never talking to you.
In context, yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Because, like, well, even Jormungandr, like, gets smacked back in time from Ragnarok. And it's just absolute madness.
Mm-hmm. And, because what was I going to say? I blanked for a good second. But then you get to, you overcome all the fights. You go to Jotunheim to go, pour the ashes out. And you find, like, not really so much a tomb, but a,
oh, yeah.
like the tower thing with all the pottery and stuff. And then, like, of course, Atreus is, he's having a good time. And, you go in and you essentially find his story. You find the story that, Laufey, left. And it's essentially their entire journey. It's everyone they fought. And it's like, they shouldn't have had this, long dead, group should not have known about us. How would they know?
Because they
know who we fought,
well before,
how we won,
part.
what we've gone through, and that's when you kind of find out that it's all been charted. That Laufey had planned everything accordingly because she saw it all accordingly. And so after that, you kind of have, there's the reveal that he's Loki. But then you have Kratos sees something as they're leaving. And he doesn't bring Atreus' attention to it. But he sees himself, basically, possibly dying.
Yeah, and it's not 100%
It could
clear.
be he's sick. It could be anything. But it's very clear something is going to happen to him. And Atreus is going to have to continue on his own. And, the whole time, Kratos is, a parent, and one of the big, things through it is, we, do things for our kids that we think are right.
Mm-hmm.
And, it may not always be right, and sometimes you guys resent us for that.
And, yeah, there's a whole thing.
Because you have with, Balder and Freya. The whole thing, she wanted to protect him, because I think she had a vision of, like, him dying, and she wanted to protect him, but she essentially took away his ability to feel anything.
Right.
No pain. You said no, like, taste, no nothing.
Yeah, it was complained, like, when you drank ale with the boys.
I'm off to sleep now, Chroma, but I will leave a lurk for you. All right, appreciate it, Wolf.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you
stopping
so
by.
much. Absolutely. Been an absolute blast.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure having you.
Thank you. And... oh, damn it, I lose
Balder.
my train of thought
And Freya.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, there's a whole subtext to that too, because like, of course, in the first God of War, Kratos is tricked by Ares into murdering his entire family, his wife and daughter. And as penitence for that, he must wear their ashes on him constantly, and that's where he gets his white skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very interesting to see him in this one, like, taking such great... Well, like, he struggles to form a bond with Atreus or get close to him.
At first,
and, like,
yeah.
so often he does, like, the hover hand things where he's like, no, I'm not gonna, like, hug my boy or, like, pat him on the back. But by the end, he, like, truly... Because you also tell the difference between when he's like, boy, or then in, like, tense moments, he'll be like, Atreus!
Yep.
And you can tell the, like, care.
Yep.
And by the end, I actually freaking cried. I'll be honest.
Aww.
Like, at the end of the game, you guys have been... And we did everything except kill the Valkyrie Queen.
You did.
Still haven't been able to do that on God of War mode.
Rip.
Rip.
Literal rip.
But anyways, yeah, like, we did everything. Like, got the full armor sets, Muspelheim, Niflheim, like... And so you're on that mountain, and I realized, like, on stream, I was like, oh my god, the game's ending. Like, this is it.
What do you think?
You scatter the ashes, and you're just like, wow, this is such a beautiful moment.
Mm-hmm. But, there's also secret ending for those who stay after credits.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
What? Oh, it went back one.
Why?
I don't know. Do arrow keys do it?
Okay.
Weird.
And it died.
Maybe batteries on the mouse?
Yeah, I'm just... It's gonna do what I want it to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the mouse is dying.
Yeah, it's gotta be the batteries.
Dang it.
Do we have other... Damn it, technical difficulties.
It really is. It's just like you were working fine all day.
There we go. Oh dang, this is like the whole ending.
I can actually jump ahead.
Oh yeah,
because this is where you go.
And there's a whole like wall of runic text, I remember. Oh yeah, because like Atreus can also hear the voices of the dead. And stuff,
yeah.
And like.
Yeah, he has a lot of powers, you find out, and that just...
Oh yeah, because he just puts his thing on the wall, and that's
and
like,
it affects
whoa.
it.
And like, when Kratos does that, it doesn't happen, but...
But Atreus it uncovered because it wasn't Kratos' story.
Mm-hmm.
It was Atreus' story.
Oh yeah, because that's the giant holding the axe. And it's like the whole time you think that the mother is human.
Yeah, well, if you didn't know about lore and stuff, but like as it starts making sense, you hear people call her Faye because they never say her name. They say, at most they say Faye. But if you're into mythology like I am, Loki is, the son of Laufey.
Yeah, and that's a revelation where it's like, wait, but that just happened, so she must have known everything that happened.
Yep.
Yeah, this is our
And then
story. No, this is your story. Oh, I forgot about that line.
Yeah, that line.
That.
This was never Kratos' story. It was Atreus's.
And it's such a touching moment as like this boy grows goes into a... Yeah, she was a giant, so they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, they were just thinking, yeah, Atreus, I'm a giant.
And that was, again, he mentions, you know, she had her reasons. And you see the gold paint used for all the stuff you have to climb on.
Not knowing she was only ashes. Baldur was tracking her all along. Oh, this part,
this is where
the
goes.
tapestry falls back. And yeah, you can very slightly see
Atreus holding on to Kratos. And it doesn't show who's speaking to it, but you see Kratos realizing his journey is coming to an end. This was Atreus' journey, and it's only just beginning.
Because, like, another thing is it's all but... And I guess we can just kind of skip to the point where they dump the ashes, just because that's a very... Because the rest after that is literally just walking around and... Because, yeah, this thing had... Because it's the gold dust that sprinkles, too. Over all of Jotunheim. Man, even the soundtrack just brings it back.
It really does.
Like... Because I think this was a solid at least like 60, 70 hours of game.
It was a lot of gameplay.
Up to this point. Because I remember when I was playing this, oh yeah, I get that mother was a giant, which means I'm part god too.
Yep. And he says that all of the runes, it was calling me Loki.
A question for another day. And they kept saying, let us go home. So I was like, okay, well, let's go home. Maybe there's a... Because we hadn't been to home, basically, since the beginning of the game and when you get the Chaos Blades. And... that's still them just walking down.
Yeah, it's tough getting to.
Oh, it just ends.
There we go.
That.
I don't think it ends. It shouldn't. It should go to the cutscene.
Well. Rip.
I guess that one didn't have it. But essentially what happens once you get home, you go to sleep, and then it cuts, and Thor is there, and it's raining, there's the thunder.
And you just see him with the hammer, and he just like...
And then that's all that happens. And then it cuts, and it shows that was Atreus, that Atreus essentially had a vision.
And that was like... And it says like however many years earlier.
And it shows that this hadn't have happened yet. You're still at this point. That's when you can go and kind of like finish up all the little like side quests and like do Muspelheim and all of that. So again, it ends very clearly. This is not over.
Right. And it basically sets it up for God of War 2, which like it hasn't officially
they've been dropping
been confirmed, but like
especially once you think of the DualSense, they've specifically said the DualSense is equipped with the trigger thing to where if you have a character that is an archer,
right,
it's like actually using the bow. Well, everyone is like, okay, Horizon, we know there's going to be a 2.
Yeah, The Last of Us has some bow stuff, but like that's
possibly
coming out before the 5 releases.
So the only thing that hasn't been said yet that has a character that would have a bow is if indeed Kratos' story comes to an end at some point and you have to play as Atreus, and Atreus is just going ham with the bow and becomes Loki and is...
That would be devastating, but I would trust Santa Monica's vision, depending on how they handled that or what they did with it.
It's like, well, essentially because Loki leads, in Norse mythology, brings Ragnarok, and that basically kills all of the Norse gods, which essentially in, I think, original God of War, you kill the entire Greek pantheon.
You spend the better part, which like game 1 was killing Ares, becoming the god of war. Game 2 was
you go after Zeus.
In 2, but yeah, game 3 you literally go on a rampage and kill every single god in the pantheon.
Yep.
Like Helios, Hermes,
everyone,
Hades,
and so I think the next one is very much gonna pay homage to that, whereas you're going after the entire Norse pantheon.
That would make sense.
What you're bringing about Ragnarok.
It was God of War 2 and 3. This was just called God of War.
Yep.
So it might be 2 and 3 in another trilogy. 2 and 3 are Atreus Loki's games where they do the thing.
Because I can see if the next one is you just go after Thor. But eventually you're gonna have to go after Odin and Freya and everyone else.
Yeah, the biggest person you killed in this game was Baldur.
Yeah,
everybody else was very minor,
or completely
you never
absent.
Go to Asgard either.
You don't.
There's Vanaheim. There's a lot of places you don't.
And
go.
I think that's what they're gonna do with the next one. So again, that's what plays into the verticality of an entire series can lead up to something. And so that's very much using verticality to forward the gameplay and the story.
Right, and it's beautiful to see it.
It really
10
is.
out of 10 game.
It was a good game. Oh, there it is. I found it.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
I knew I had it. I was just like, I know there's a Thor clip. Don't you give me an ad.
Oh gosh. It's fine.
No, it's not.
No ads ever.
None. Well, you're not getting paid for that ad.
Oof.
Get it out of here.
And it was keto too.
Years later.
Just years later. I swear to God, especially if somehow Kratos dies at the beginning of God of War.
That would be traumatic for all the fans who played it from the beginning and just
20. Because actually, I can't. I'm just gonna let this play out.
And yeah, they say, "Who are you?" But then you see the hammer, and so you know who it is.
And it's present day then. It's yeah, that was the weirdest dream.
Well, That's fine.
Actually, that's perfect.
But yeah, so that was that scene. Okay, so next on the list, Verticality. A short hike. Literally the entire game is verticality in games.
This was such a hidden gem.
It was, and very much if anyone, who plays like Animal Crossing, and like that's what I saw when I was looking for. They're like, if you like Animal Crossing or like games like this, you'll like this. And I was like, okay, like it's very short. It's literally a short hike. Essentially, you play as the little bird, and the game starts. You're in a car, and you're having conversation with someone. Ends up being your mother, and you have to stay with like your aunt for a while, and you don't really want to. You kind of just want to go home the whole time. It's like at the start, and so your aunt basically tells you, oh, like reception is kind of spotty. The only place that you can really get good reception is at the top of the mountain. So you're like, okay. Well, you find out you eventually need to be able to fly for like an extended period of time and have the stamina to like climb up the mountain. You also need to learn how to climb. So you have like the little side quest. And you can basically roam around this entire island and just explore and meet people and help them with like finding things. And you kind of like build friendships. And you can also gather a lot of things, because if you just like steamroll through it and go straight to the mountain, you find out you can't buy the feathers for the stamina because someone bought them up. The person who bought them is trying to like sell them at a surplus rate.
Oh, scalping wow.
But if you like had wandered around, you can find them on your own. You can find enough to like get to the top. And so you spend like so much of this game, you meet people, and you start having fun.
It was super cute, yeah.
And it's very cute. You have a lot of fun, like meeting. All the characters are different. You can go fishing. There's so much like to do. So a short hike becomes a journey.
Long hike?
It can be, yeah. It's like you're supposed to go on this short hike, but it becomes a long hike. It becomes, you opening up and having fun and enjoying where you are and enjoying, what you're around. And then you go to the mountain. So the mountain is difficult to climb. It's very difficult. Even with enough stamina, it almost just drained. You had to like get good at like cheesing like corners to like just jump and grab on and then climb the rest of the way. Because it was hard to get up to this mountain. And like I actually at one point completely fell off and had to start over. Ooh. Like climbing up. You didn't die in game.
Oh, that's good, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know if fall damage was a thing.
So your goal again is to climb, the mountain to make a phone call. And like the whole time you're on the ground level, everything's bright, and like you can see from the picture, even though we like toned down the colors for like everything to be kind of like, let the text pop out. It's still bright. And like it's very bright in contrast to you.
And cheery.
Yeah. And then you get to the mountain and it's sort of getting nighttime. You have like all the stars, but like the sun is setting. And this shift broke me. Like you said you cried in God of War. I cried during this.
Yeah.
Like, because it was just, it like has such an impact on you. Because, your phone rings, because you make it to the top and you're kind of just looking around and just like, wow, this is amazing. And it's like you almost forget what the purpose of your journey was to go make this phone call, because, in the journey it took to get to the top, to, use this verticality, you gained a lot, and you gained an appreciation for the stuff that was around you. Well, your phone rings, and it's your mom. And I'll just play the clip. You'll see me crying.
Oh, this is adorable.
Don't you judge me.
Oh, we gotta maybe turn it up a bit.
Yeah. So basically what happens, your mom calls and, you tell her what you did during the day. And she's like, oh, my little girl is growing up and you're leaving the nest and you're not going to need me anymore.
You can see the moment too.
You saw the exact moment.
It's so cute.
It's very cute, and it just broke me because I cried. I started just crying.
Oh my goodness, that's so wholesome though.
And it is, and it's like a very touching moment because you don't think that it's gonna have like this very cheery game is gonna have that like very powerful moment.
Yeah, and then your heart drops because you hear about the surgery and you're like,
what's happening?
Oh no, like is wholesome game gonna have like a horrible end? It's like, oh no, it's fine, really. I didn't want you to worry.
I just didn't want you to worry, so I
I know you
took
can
you
get
somewhere
worked
where
up
you
sometimes.
could be distracted and like enjoy yourself.
And that's such a human thing because like I think every one of us has had a time where like, because I know like relatively simple surgeries like for back or knee, like
well anything, and like being a little kid, like if you find out your parents could just need to have like tonsils removed, you hear, oh, I'm going to the hospital to have surgery. A little kid is just like, what's wrong?
God, they're dying. Like,
yeah, it's like you, and like you still have that even as adults, with family and close friends and stuff, where it's just like, why do you need to go do this? What's going on? Why am I just finding out about this? Which doctor, who's doing it? I need to look them up and make sure they're certified and they're actually qualified to do this.
Right. It becomes a whole
It's like
thing.
that inner like dread that a lot of people have, kind of hits you. And so that's why this like hit me, and I was just like,
because the whole thing is Animal Crossing, and then just hits you with the reality, and then it's just like, oh.
It's like, again, you could hear my voice cracking in this game.
And then just crap.
I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Then it was like, I love you.
It's the meme of try not to cry, get into the fetal position, cry a lot.
Yes. But yes, and this was a very good game, and it is very much a hidden gem. Like,
yes, because I know it was free on Epic, I think,
when we got it, it was,
Yeah,
but it's on Epic.
It shouldn't be more than, like, at most $15.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Seriously, that's about...
Because it's a very short game. Because, again, you can just steamroll through and be done with it. But...
It definitely pays.
It pays to explore. And, even though your goal is to, use verticality, reach this top, you end up exploring, and that's another way verticality can work in games. It's like, this is your purpose, but the journey is what makes the adventure.
Right, yeah. Sometimes you gotta go left or right to go up.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yep. It's like just going point A to point B. It's not that fun, and especially in a game, it's boring if you go, okay, just gotta go here, game over.
Right, and like that's what separates a lot of, because even in a linear game, you can find secrets off of that beaten
It's like
path.
you take, for instance, the Mario games were very much like some of the beginnings of verticality. It's you get there, the princess is in another castle.
Spawned a whole meme.
And then you go to the next one. She's still in another castle. sorry. And like the whole time, and like you do boss fights, still not there until the very end. So you go on this. It's a linear game. It's a side scroller. You're just going across the screen, but there's such a journey, and like it becomes this entire thing.
And yeah, it's not even the genius of Mario is like you had the warp pipes that can skip, and all these different. Oh man, just hidden
the warp pipes
bonus slide, but yeah, and like eventually Mario 64 came out and it was 3D, and it was like one of the first 3D games, and people were like, like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is this like. What is going on? You can not only go left or right, you can turn like 360 degrees. Just nuts.
It was. But yeah, and so that's why I liked Short Hike, because it really captured verticality and the importance of, point A, point B, hero journey rise is great, but you have to have something that makes the journey worthwhile.
Bingo. It's the friends you met along the way were the real treasure.
I mean...
But I mean, that really is a thing. Like, almost every game. Like, Mass Effect. Oh my gosh, I'd start throwing in random tangents about my favorite games, but we have a schedule to maintain.
So next game is Dishonored.
Oh yeah.
So in Dishonored, your protagonist falls from grace and uses that fall to ambush their prey. So you're, the expert on Dishonored, so I'll let you take over.
I don't know if I'd say expert. I played 1 and 2, all kinds of different playthroughs and ways. I just noticed it too, like Emily and some of the things are like in that impressionist style, and I love that. I didn't notice it earlier, but like, yes. But basically, Dishonored is, as the little subtext there says, protagonist falls from grace and uses that fall to ambush their prey. That's very bare bones explanation, because like in the tutorial sequence, you literally jump on a guy and do like a stab him in the neck, break your fall. Like it's horrifically brutal and violent. And it's just like, oh. So that's how this game is gonna be. But like, you start the game even before that as like, Corvo, I don't remember his last name, and you're like the Empress's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And so, you're literally in this high palace coming off of like this little dinghy, and like it rises in the canal, and like you see the things at the very beginning of the game, like Dunwall, and you're like, okay, cool. And you're just hanging out. Empress is talking about like grave tidings and like something hasn't sent its tithe. And you notice these figures like darting wall to wall, but they're like teleporting or like phase shifting out of existence. And you're like, oh hell no! Like this is some, because this whole thing is steampunk like, so they shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so finally they come up and they just literally like whisk you onto the thing, hold you in place with like the force, and one of them just takes your blade, runs it through the Empress, and they like kidnap the, what's a daughter of an Empress? Princess?
Basically a princess.
Basically. So yeah, young lady, Empress, Emily, like, they kidnap her, and then of course, you being a dummy, run up to the Empress, and you're like, no! And they're like, protect, my daughter at all costs. But obviously now you literally have blood on your hands. Dudes have phase shifted back out of reality, and your sword is there. So like, obviously people run back, and they catch you for the crime, and they're like, oh no. So you're set to be executed. But then there's loyalists that break you out of prison, and that's a whole tutorial sequence. And like you basically fall from that palace to like the dungeon's basement, and it's a very stark contrast. Whole rest of the game is you trying to climb back up, literally to like regain your former status, but you use rooftops and like all kinds of different stealth techniques to do it, or death from below type deal, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And basically, you're taking out people close to the Lord Regent, the tyrant who took over.
Yeah.
Finally, and it's a whole tower you've got to climb to get to him. You kill, or the other thing I'm failing to mention, and this is the verticalities, there's an honor system, or like chaos, like high or low chaos. Like, because it's not so much your honor in and of itself, kind of, but it's like, obviously, the more, like, not police, but city watch, or, like, high-ranking officials you kill, it throws a city into chaos. And you'll see that in gameplay effects. Like, there will be more rats with the plague that spawn, basically zombie people who get infected by it. There's, like, more city watch patrolling the streets because
it can make it harder for you.
It literally does make the game adversely more difficult. And if you put the challenge on yourself early and play non-lethal, like knock people out, and there's certain mechanics where you don't have to kill the target, but you do a thing to neutralize them, it will make the game easier in the long run, and you'll have a quote-unquote happier ending, maybe. And hell, there's even an ending at the end where, like, well, before I get to there, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Essentially, you kill the Lord Regent, or neutralize him, whichever which way, and then you come back to have, like, a final drinking thing, and the game has already been decently long at this point, so you think it's the end of the game. Well, the beer you're drinking is poisoned, and the loyalists who are working with you turned on you to secure their own positions of power, because they knew when, Lady Emily got restored to the throne that they'd just be the same as they ever were. So then they start killing everyone in the conspiracy, and they're about to kill you when you use your little... Oh, this part I forgot to mention. There's a lot, but basically you get powers from, like, this guy called the Outsider, and you can have things like blink from one space to another, summon rats to eat people alive, like, there's all sorts of crazy cool stuff you can do. But, so essentially you use the powers to get out of there, and, and of course Outsider has his own hidden ulterior motive, shady, shifty, underworld character, and, then you go, essentially, Dishonored Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, like, in the first game, where you just kill a bunch of dudes again, or neutralize them. And at the very end, depending on what happens, the Admiral either just gives you the key, if you have, like, a low chaos, high honor thing, and you just rescue Emily, or if you have a high chaos, he basically holds her, like this, and has a pistol to you, and is talking about, like, who are you to judge us? Like, you've killed everyone that's ever come in your way. Like, you wore what we said you wore from the start. Like, has this whole diatribe.
Yeah.
And then you basically kill him, and Emily's hanging in there. And here's the thing that's crazy. You can actually save her, or you can literally let her fall to her death, and then you just... GTFO, get out of Dodge. I didn't know that ending existed until, like, I think one time I played it, and, like, I had to go get pizza rolls or something. I don't know exactly, but, like, I was AFK, and I come back, and it started playing through, like, 2 empresses have died by your hand. Like, you're leaving the country. Like, waves are engulfing the ship you're traveling back in, and, like, you die. Empress is dead. Everybody's dead. Like, a typhoon washes over Dunwall, and, like, it's just the worst possible ending you can have.
When you're just a horrible person.
It's like the horrible person ending. Like, it's ridiculous. But of course, depending, the more obvious thing is saving Emily. She'll either say, like, thank you so much, like, it's time to restore Dunwall to, like, its rightful place. Or she'll say, like, let's behead everybody who ever worked against us in the high chaos. And, like, things will also change, like, in the last mission, either everybody's trying to kill each other and like a dude's taking a pistol shot at another dude, like, and just executes him so you don't have to do that part of the job, or like they're all you know kind of like, okay, the jig is up, like you're good to go. And like in the High Chaos playthrough, I remember like you take a boat to get there, and the ferryman literally talks about like how he has the plague himself, and he's like, you're a horrible person, I'm shocked at what you've become, like get off my boat. And then he's basically like, I'm taking you with me, like because of what you've done to Emily or the influence you'll have. Fires a flare and alerts them to your position, so stealth is literally impossible. In the High Chaos playthrough, and I'm just like, oh shit, like okay, like here we go. But yeah, Dishonored, wonderful game, plenty of verticality in every element flowing through it, and 2 is just as great. But,
oh gosh. Okay, so next up on the list, Horizon Zero Dawn. So, with Horizon, you play as Aloy, and you have to rise from an outcast to a leader in a post-apocalyptic world. So, you play as Aloy, and you start, when she's a kid, and she's an outcast. No one is supposed to talk to her, or the guy who's taking care of her, and you don't know why. She doesn't know why. She's like a little kid. She just wants to play and make friends, but she can't. So then she has to go through this proving, and basically you go through the proving, it gets attacked, because the proving is essentially all the, new braves who, like, are gonna, go out and like, help protect the tribe. So, of course, it gets ambushed, because, I forget the guy's name, but one of the guys, he also had a, it's not a Pathfinder. It was not Pathfinder. What was it called?
I think it might actually have been a Pathfinder chip, or like some type of...
It was some type of chip.
Like the triangle thing, like the Bluetooth earpiece, like...
It's been a minute since I've played, but it was a long game. A focus. She called it a focus.
Oh, yeah.
Because she found it, she accidentally ended up in some ruins. And that's where you see that, humanity had advanced quite far and, had a lot of technology. But for some reason, the old way was extinct, and now you have everything kind of basically restarting from sort of like the, tribal...
Yeah, the Stone Age.
Stone Age, Stone Age. Except they're like, instead of a lot of just regular animals, there are also the robot animals.
Robo-dinosaurs.
Yeah! And, so you use the focus, and it can also help you, like, go over some of, like, the knowledge from the past. And, you go and you try and find out why, the Nora were attacked. Why did these people also have focuses like Aloy? And why, on their focus, did it show someone that looked like her? And, Aloy assumes this has to be my mother because she looks like me, but she's not me. So, like, the whole thing was, you find out, Aloy was outcast because she was born. And they just found her, like the, not mages, like the wise women of the tribe found her in the, center of, like, their temple, and she was just there. So she had no mother.
Just a baby.
And, like, for, like, a lot of things, it was, the mother was the most important part because, gave birth to everything and all.
Yeah, literally, like, the start of creation for, like...
It required, a mother.
Yeah, for the...
And, like, Aloy was different because she just appeared. And so you have one, Teresa, or... Oh, the names are so hard. But, she basically, the whole time wanted Aloy to be, taken care of and protected. The other ones weren't sure. They were confused. She was like, this is obviously, the, goddess gave Aloy to us. She gave us, her child. And basically, like, she had always, assumed you were the goddess's child. And so, because you just, again, magically appeared. And so, eventually, like, after it gets attacked, you get brought into where you were found, and you have to try and you realize it's a door like you've been in before. Oh, and you try and open it, but it scans you, but it says corruption detected, identity, like, it couldn't reach your identity, basically. Because you think, Aloy kind of has this thought, what if it's this woman that looks like me? But it should work if we look alike. But it doesn't. It's like, it didn't authorize. So you didn't have the authorization to go in. Which, this becomes important later on. So, the, wise woman is just like, she goes and tells the others, she talked to her, like, the goddess spoke to Aloy. She said she has to clear the corruption, and then she'll recognize her, and then she'll be able to go in. And so then they, like, give her their, like, kind of seal to where she can travel outside of their land, because they very much, you weren't allowed to leave outside of, like, Mother's Cradle. So she's allowed to leave to go, like, explore and find out why these people came after her, why they attacked everyone, and what's going on, and why are all these new machines appearing. So you get to, like, I honestly explored a lot, and there's a lot of lore. There's, like, so much lore.
Oh man, like
dozens 60 plus hours worth of just gameplay.
Ooh, that's a lot.
And I didn't 100% the game.
That's a long game.
Yeah.
Man.
So, you end up going to the city, and this is where, like, there was, an evil king. He basically, was corrupt, had them bring, like, sacrifices from all the other tribes, and they basically just killed everyone. He was overthrown, and there were, like, a lot of little details that he had, several sons. A couple died because they wanted to, like, so it was like, overthrow. Well, his last wife and his youngest child, if you read the lore, with, like, some of the stuff you'll find, it shows that they escaped. So you're just like, okay. And then you have, like, the Karja and the Shadow Karja. And the Shadow Karja are just, like, tough to fight. But basically they're the ones who, they're like, the sun gives us shadows. And so, that is, who we need to speak to. And, like, the whole time they're talking to something that's, like, this shadowy presence. You don't know what. But they also have focuses. None of the other Karja do. That stayed in the, the palace. And so the king's other son is now in charge, and he's just like, I'm trying to, like, I don't want that legacy of just destruction. I want everyone to, be at peace. Everyone to just, be at peace and just have a good time and try and, like, progress and stuff. And, like, you eventually find out that how the Shadow Karja have these focus is because they were speaking to a rogue AI.
Interesting.
Because they start saying names like Hades. They refer to it as Hades. And so you're just like, Hades is...
Yeah, Greek god of...
And you're just like, but... Because this doesn't match, like, what everyone else believes in. And, like, they're like, the goddess or the sun. But then you have Hades. And it's like, Hades is very specifically something, we would know. Because, history would have led up to this. But these people have no memory of, like, the past.
Yeah, there's no way they could know. Like, it's a beautiful, dramatic irony.
Yeah, it's like... And, like, you go through and you can find all this stuff about, like, Project Zero Dawn and all of that. And you're just like, there was a war with the machines. And it was, again, because and like you eventually go and you in an effort to save the people who made her an outcast, Aloy uncovers the truth of her existence. And so you eventually go to the highest point in the game, which you get there. If you're just exploring like I was, you'll come across a Stormbird, and it's the hardest one to kill, but I was playing on story mode so I could explore, so I ended up there. I didn't know this was a story area until I started like climbing, and then I couldn't go further, but it was very clearly further like ways I could go. And I was like, I think I shouldn't be here. And I was like, I hope things don't spawn back in when I have to come back. Fortunately it didn't, because I beat the Stormbird. So you eventually end up running through like this sort of like bunker. And it's destroyed. It's completely destroyed. And you'll eventually find out why, but where's the thingy? Yay! So yeah, you end up just running through it and like trying to like open the doors, and you're also speaking with someone who also has a focus. And they know a lot more about, the past civilization than you do. Because like their whole thing, they've been trying to open this door, but they can't. But then they also saw Aloy on the focus, and they were like,
"Oh, well, rip."
But they also saw Aloy and were just like, "I recognize her. She's important." And you find out they had also worked with Hades. Yeah, a lot happens.
I'm gonna have to replay this game sometime.
Oh yeah, because you never finished. But Hades, you eventually find out, was creating like all these destroyer robots, and these were the droids that they were created for war, but they ended up having like issues with their programming and started just devouring all organic life. So eventually one of the things it'll say in like one of the recordings is like, people having meetings, and like you'll have like the corporate, like the secretary that's like, "We have a problem. I'm tired of taking the calls for this. Can someone please do something?" Because you have like the press, and it was like someone like recording like on their phone, one of these things like off on the coast, and then there's just a pod of dolphins, and it just blunder.
Oh my god.
And like it says that, and it's like, unless you want to explain, why, these dolphins, and everyone loves dolphins, just it went through a blender. Yeah, we have a problem, and it's on the news. And like so, the whole time you realize, and it ends up being that the guy who was making these robots, he messed up. He admits he messed up. So, who you think? And like as you're going, you start being like, "There's no way. The time. This woman couldn't be Aloy's mother. It doesn't work." And so like my theory was, the people we're seeing are clones. Like they're not the original people. They're clones of like what would be us. Mm-hmm. And so that was my theory. I ended up being slightly correct, and I was just like, I was right.
Snap.
They were, in a sense, clones. They had gathered, they basically created a Noah's Ark. And that's why you have, like, Mother's Cradle, or all the different places named certain ways. Where the cities formed were intentionally surrounded by areas where they had these kind of, like, bunkers where life could begin again. So this is where they had a bunch of, like, embryos. And just like in tubes frozen, and they had created an AI program. They had several steps, basically named after all of the Greek pantheon. But you had Gaia was like the main thing, and like as you're progressing as Aloy, you start like seeing the doctor who looks like Aloy. And you basically, have her working on, Gaia, and the programming, you see, it starts to have human connections. It starts having human thoughts, and it's just like, are these going to be my children? And then the doctor's like, in a way, yes. And she's just like, how would, like, do you have any children? Like, the AI is talking to the scientist, and she intentionally wanted it to have this motherly thing to it, because this is what's going to, they essentially, Project Zero Dawn is the destruction. It's wipe everything out, because these robots will not stop. They have to have organic matter. Organic matter is you have to completely wipe everything.
Oh man, to basically leave Earth like this desolate rock.
And essentially you have like all the different ones. You have one, goes, purifies air. All the like robot animals had purposes. So they were going to be deployed after a certain point. You had these seeds, like sprouts you have to find. And those went out and like basically planted everything. The animals that were robots were like, so you have like the snap maw that were in the water. They were cleaning the pollution in the water. That was their purpose.
Snap.
You have like the grazers, they were tilling the soil so things could continue to grow. Even the storm birds and Winthawks were cleaning the air. So everything was in preparation to get it ready for like the final stage, which was reintroducing humans.
Kind of sucks though, all the dudes that like blew up these machines without knowing that like, we're trying to help you, jerk.
Yeah. Well, but the machines were also constantly being produced, because they thought eventually this is gonna be a thing if we're starting completely from scratch, because that's just what we do.
Yeah.
But you also had like people living in the bunkers, and a lot of the bunkers, basically everyone in them died eventually. And then you go to this bunker that was in the clip, and compared to all the other ones, this one is just destroyed, and you don't know why. Well, essentially what happened was there was an issue with it. It had to be closed from the outside. But the doctor ends up going, she just like, I'm handling it. And they're just like, no, we need you here. Like, this is your program. And she's like, don't worry about it. And she's like, I haven't been home in a while. And like, oh gosh.
Whoa, what the heck? Oh, thank you for the follow to Jackson.
That scared me. Oh gosh,
Oh
they caught me
gosh.
so off guard talking about Horizon Zero Dawn with the AI.
It's like, oh no, AI is taking over. It's gone rogue.
But appreciate the follow, Jackson. Hope you're having a great day.
Oh my goodness, wonderful weekend leading up to this.
But,
Oh man, wow.
yo, how's it going?
What's up?
Oh, that caught me off guard. That got me.
And I always forget the alert volume, just like. I swear to God, we're gonna make that into like the THX theme one day, which is.
Oh my gosh, no. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I was like, I can't read what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Dang,
The emote
man.
the emote is cool though.
Oh, dude, that emote is rad.
Is that what's his name from
Oh, is that
Sonic?
Egghead? Not Egghead. Well, no, it is Egghead, but Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the thing.
That's a cool emote. So you get here, and she basically sacrifices herself. So, like, everyone, like, really respected her, because this was her program. This was the only way to save humanity. So she goes, and, you would think, okay, she died. So, confirm this cannot be Aloy's mother. So, Aloy is also like, she couldn't have been my mother.
Oh, man. So then the plot twist.
So it's...
Oh, what's a Sonic movie?
Sonic?
I actually haven't
I haven't seen it,
the
actually.
Sonic movie.
The recent one?
Oh, where they changed the whole, like...
Oh, yeah, where they had to change the...
Oh, gosh.
That was rough.
Sonic.
That really was
I remember that.
But yeah, so you go, and then you find out that the guy who... Everything was basically his fault. You know, he's still in there.
Well, no.
Well, he was working... He, basically, the doctor was like, you have the machine power. I have the... So we're going to have to just work together. You have to convince these people to do what I want them to do. Because this is the only way we're going to save everything. But he starts, you know, doing things that kind of... It's like... He messes up again, and it's just out of greed. So basically, it was like, you know, all the, like, top, you know, brains who were supposed to run this program and to make sure everything was working fine. He has them in a conference room, and you go as Aloy, and, like, you get into the thing, you open the door, but the air rushes in. So, you know, usually you open something that's been sealed, it rushes out. It rushed in. And, like, Aloy notices that, and she's like...
So it's like a vacuum that...
Essentially, he wasn't there with them. He was using, like, a hologram to, like, talk to these people. And he's like, you know, we don't need to give humanity this... Like, they had a program that was, like, Artemis? Or Hermes. It was either Artemis or Hermes. I can't remember which one it was. But that was... to make sure Aloy and everyone had the knowledge we had. But you notice something went wrong because they don't know anything about the past.
Yeah, everybody's Stone Age.
The reason he tampered with it, he was like, you know, basically, I'm going to destroy this knowledge. They don't, like, and, you know, of course the person who was over that was like, are you crazy? You can't do that. He was like, I already did. And, like, this woman is just like, all of this knowledge, and it's basically like, you know, the Library of Alexandria all over again.
Oh no.
Because it's like all this knowledge is gone. And
why would they do that?
He said it was because he was like, you know, when we have this knowledge, we go to war, we do this, we you know, turn on each other, we do this, do that, you know, we'll just be back we'll be back at this moment again if we, like, let them have this knowledge. So, but then, like, the whole time you were playing, and, like, even Aloy mentions they didn't see, like, the blood ring or something like that, where basically they executed all of these people, like, as a sacrifice to an eclipse. And he's like, you didn't see that.
Yeah, I feel like
so
that's
it's like, even
nature.
Without the knowledge, humans were doing what humans typically do. And it was just, like... So one person, and he essentially sealed the doors, and, like you said, vacuumed. There was no air in the room. He killed all of them.
Wow.
It was his mess up.
One dude!
One person can destroy everything.
All of humanity, basically.
Yeah. Well, you know, the program was also made to be autonomous in case anything happened. So that's why we have, like, Aloy and everyone else. So then it's like, okay, well, we still gotta beat Hades. Hades was not supposed to exist. He was essentially created to where if there was a problem, if, like, anything would happen that would hamper with the growth to where humanity couldn't flourish, he was supposed to wipe everything again. And then give the controls back over to Gaia to restart everything. Again. Hades was a faulty AI and wasn't going to do that. So, like, Hades was, like, getting the courage to, like, uncover these Deathbringers, which is what they were called, and it's just like a giant Star Destroyer with legs that you had to fight, and even in story mode, they were hard to fight.
Oh, God. They looked brutal from, like, awful. The concept art.
It was awful. And, like, he was bringing those back. Those were the things that destroyed everything in the beginning, that just destroyed all the organic matter and ran off of organic matter. And so Hades was bringing those back to wipe everything again, but he wasn't going to hand the controls over. Because during the process of there was an issue. Once everything shut down, Hades, basically, while Gaia was doing this, for a while she was still functioning. At a certain point, Hades takes over and like starts working and starts corrupting, and so this is why you have all the corruption with the machines and stuff. It's Hades, and he's basically like shutting down Gaia, so that way he can't. There's nothing for him to give control back over to.
Oh my god!
And so like you have the scene where Aloy eventually goes back to Mother's Cradle, and she's able to go into the room because she has the access. She says Dr. So-and-so, and it scans and it's the same face and voice and name, so she can go in. She goes in and there's really nothing there. There's just like this hologram. This hologram activates and it's Gaia. It's the AI. And she basically says, she explains how everything worked, what everything's purpose was. And then she's like, right now Hades is attacking and I'm going to be destroyed. So I'm going to create the only thing that I know can stop him and like protect like humanity. And that's my creator. So
oh gosh, and it's just wow.
So Aloy didn't have a mother. Aloy's mother was Gaia. It created her in the Doctor's image because she was going to be the only one who could get access with the facial recognition. So it was like, I used, DNA samples from the Doctor, and it basically this AI made an organic being from nothing, essentially. And basically made a clone. And so Aloy is just like, so I still don't have parents. Okay. And all this I'm a clone, essentially. And it's just kind of like...
That's got to be a very
She walks
weird...
out and, like, of course, all the Nora, because, again, she was an outcast. She walks out of here and she's just walked into a place where the goddess is and, like, spoke with the goddess. And so, of course, they all start bowing and they're just like... And she's just like, no. Like...
I'm just a dude.
Yeah, and she's like, you don't understand. It's like so much, like all this knowledge we should have had, we don't have. And like, of course, they're not listening because they're just, this,
enthralled, yeah.
Stone Age, civilization. It's just, you've done, they just don't, and like she's trying to say, and they're just not listening. And she's just like, do not worship me. She was like, why are you doing this now? I was an outcast. And like, they're just like, and they're just bowing and like, you can tell she's just very frustrated. Because again, like this whole time you think, I'm going to find, my mother. I'm going to find where I belong. And then I find this out. And it's kind of just a kick in the face.
Ugh.
That I was created, I'm a failsafe, essentially. But it was essentially, the AI created her, because she was like, I'm going to lock everything to where only this one person can get into it. I'm going to shut down and lock everything to where only this person can get in through like DNA facial. There's only going to be one person like that
in the whole world.
And that has to be someone the AI itself made. So she eventually goes, and you have to go fight Hades, and you have to go back to the city, which is like up high, and there's a pain because it's a countdown clock, like until the literal end of the world.
Oh god!
And you have to like take it out, and again, you only have like arrows, but you eventually do, and again, Aloy kind of just had to rise to the occasion, even though a lot of things weren't answered. It left more questions, and so like eventually, it ends, and after the credits, you have like Aloy, and she has like one of the Striders which I kept forgetting you could use, and so I ended up running around the whole time.
Yeah, they're fast.
They are. But she's riding, and she goes to where she found out this woman's home was, the doctor's home. Because, in a way, this is still kind of like her mother, because it's who created the program that created her. She goes, and she finds her. And basically, everything's like flattened, white, ruins. And she finds one of the suits. One of like the, like, not a space suit, but like...
Exosuit?
Basically like an exosuit. And, you know, there remains. But it was basically like, her home was like, there was like a ranch. And it like still had the sign that was kind of up. But she goes and like, she finds her. And like, she had just went home. Once the bunker was sealed, she went home. Like, she knew she was going to die. With everyone else who was still not in the bunker. Because the bunker, they were picking, like, certain people for, like, the genetics. And so, of course, not everyone got in.
Right. Only, like, the most plausible or, like, viable people would be stored there.
Yeah. And so, it's just like, wow. And then, like, you know, she finds her and, you know, kind of does, like, a sort of a funeral, essentially. Because it's like, you know, this is your you essentially are seeing what you saved through the eyes of someone that your creation created. And it's very interesting. And there's some stuff that leads to why we're going to have Horizon 2, but I won't go into that.
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be good. You got to finish the first one first. But, so, with Horizon, the verticality is very much, you have this entire journey. And, you know, again, like with a short hike, everything on the side, yeah, you can just go point A to point B, point A to point B, and so forth. But it's everything on... It's the lore. It's this world that's built that gives you hints throughout to where you can start kind of forming theories. And then once you get to the point where Aloy is at the top and now has to bring all of this information back to these people, she doesn't want to be revered. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She's like, I'm just doing what's right. She's like, I'm going through it now because I'm still, like, motherless. You know, everyone else she always saw had, like, a mother. And she's like, I'm still motherless. I'm still kind of getting the short end of the stick. Like, I have to do all of this, even though everyone has mistreated me. But, I'm still gonna do it. So don't, like, bow to me and don't, like, call me, you know, like, all these, like, fancy... I'm Aloy. And so it's very powerful because a lot of times you have someone who reaches that point and it's just, woo! Like,
yeah,
you have, like...
I'm the greatest thing in the world.
You have, like, Frozen 2, Elsa. Oh, I'm the fifth spirit. And it's just like... I mean...
How it should have ended for that.
That was hilarious. But you have that where it's like, yes... Oh, cool, I have it where it's, in reality, it would just kind of be like, who? Why me?
Yeah, why me?
Why does this have to be me? Why couldn't it have been anyone else?
Oh, one thing, though, and this is basically, because I did not get far in the game, because I, like a dummy, started on ultra hard difficulty.
You did.
But, the verticality thing is, you see Aloy and the tall
Yep, the tall neck.
Yeah.
And that does play into verticality as far as a gameplay mechanic, because the whole time to unlock the maps, you have to find the tall necks, climb up the tall necks, and then connect them, and so your focus can register the surrounding area. And so that's, like, the first, like, huge thing you have to do is, like, climb up this tall neck.
Yeah,
and,
literal
like,
robo-dinosaur.
It really is robo-dinosaur. And it's super cool because essentially the tall necks were there to basically kind of like scan. So it's like, again, everything had a purpose. For like why it was only the more aggressive machines that were new that was the cause of Hades. And the corruption, it's like they shouldn't have been there. They didn't have a purpose besides destruction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the sawtooth.
And like even at the beginning, everyone says, you know, we used to be able to do like our, you know, regular patrols and stuff, but now these things are attacking. And we don't know why, and the things that used to run at the side of us are now attacking us. Because, you know, they have like the herbivore type animals that would just scatter and run if they saw you. But now they were attacking, and it was just like, why?
Yeah, changes happen with that.
Yeah, and it was just like, all of it was this rogue AI. And so it's really weird, because again, the whole time you're, you know, using like these arrows, you have a spear. I mean, you eventually kind of get like a Gatling gun, kind of, but you can only use it a little bit, so it's not like a permanent thing. And you even have like another type of thing, but it's very ineffective.
Oh, the cannon thing.
Well, no, like the thing that you can actually have in like your
actual
inventory,
equipment, like the Rattler.
And it was basically useless. It was better to just use arrows.
Dang, man.
But yeah, so it's very interesting how like you can have verticality. Yes, your purpose is to go from point A to point B, but it's better to explore, and it's encouraged to explore to get more information to build a world.
And yeah, like Horizon is a beautiful thing, and I need to get back and play it one day.
You better finish it.
And man, do we have any more on the slides?
Let me try and move my legs. We don't. This is the last slide.
Oh, okay. Well, dang.
So I think, let me see if I can get this working. Let me go to the full screen. Hopefully that does its thing. Let me close this really quick. But yeah, so that was a very
insightful thing.
I kept this out of here. Thank you. But yes, it was very insightful. I think verticality in gaming is very important because it can create an entire journey. Not only can it do a journey, it can influence gameplay in a way that challenges you to try different things and to look at things from a different perspective.
And it changes things into a 3D space.
It does.
Like,
it can take a 2D game and turn it again into something that's 3-dimensional and has like a ton of depth
and give narrative to a story.
Yep.
Like, it's very, very neat.
So let me see. But yeah, that was really fun and insightful. Like, I think verticality in gaming has been a good one. I can't wait to do more fictional subtext. We're gonna be let's see, we're gonna try and launch a raid.
Oh, okay.
We'll see who's online. But thanks everyone for stopping by and hanging out. Thanks for watching the stream. We will be back next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Standard.
Yeah, 9
Central
p.m.
Daylight, Central Standard, whichever one you want to call it now.
Just time. It's a whatever these days.
It is. So let's see. But yes, we'll be back. Let me see if I can find it, because all of my stuff is set up a little differently.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be back Tuesday. And so let's see who we're going to raid.